Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am Johnny Talk Sports, here to provide the 2016 Week 7 NFL predictions. So let's get it started. I'm not going to do a recap this week because those kind of take too long. So let's get started with the Thursday night game. The Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers. Now, the keys for this game is the Bears are 7th in total offense and they're 4th in the NFL in passing offense. And you have weapons like Alshon Jeffery, and you have Cameron Meredith, who's starting to rise up. However, can the Bears play both halves of the game? And can the Packers play both halves of the game as well? I mean, Green Bay is trying to come off a humiliating loss against Dallas in Lambeau. And Eddie Lacy is banged up as well. But they just traded for Niall Davis today from the Chiefs. And if you're Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, you got to get Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson going. In fact, there's Packers fans that are frustrated out there. There was one on Twitter. I saw his new Twitter name is #Fire Mike McCarthy. So what better way for Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb to turn it around, especially Aaron Rodgers in the second half? What better way to do it against not only a division rival, but your actual rival itself? I like the Packers get a big win here. I just don't see the Bears getting anything going offensively. I like Green Bay to actually win this by at least 14 points. All right, the next game, it's the game in London. The New York Giants versus the Los Angeles Rams. Now, the Rams, I think they're screwed in this game because they're 31st in total offense. So that just shows they can't get anything going. And they haven't been able to get Todd Gurley going most of the season. And it's going to be hard to cover Odell Beckham, who's really hitting his stride right now. Not only is Odell Beckham hitting his stride, but so is Sterling Shepard. It's just something is just clicking in the Giants right now. And Eli Manning's coming off a big 400-yard passing game, which included 222 of them to Odell Beckham. So when Odell Beckham's hitting his stride, the Giants are in a positive mood. And the Giants, I like them to blow out the Rams, actually. I think it's going to be another double-digit game that we're talking about. So far, I've got the Packers and Giants both winning by double digits. Let's see if we can get any closer games this week. Saints and the Chiefs. The interesting match in this one is going to be Brandon Cooks coming off a big game last week as well, versus the Chiefs secondary led by Marcus Peters and Eric Berry. Because the Saints are second in total offense, only behind division rival Atlanta Falcons. However, the thing that is hurting the Saints right now is that they're 31st in total defense. The Saints have had just horrendous defense ever since they won the Super Bowl that year. So their defense has been horrendous. For years, they've done nothing about it. They've barely addressed it at all. And for the Chiefs to win, Alex Smith has to find Jerry Maclin and Travis Kelce. They both got to be on their stride. And plus, Jamal Charles has to rise to the occasion, because Jamal Charles has had some fumbling problems. But in the end, though, I like the Chiefs to really rise to the occasion, especially Jamal Charles. Because he's going to want to get it going. Take advantage of running the football, especially when the Saints are 31st in total defense. Take advantage on offense. You got the weapons. I'm going to admit this, but you have the weapons to go all the way to the AFC title game. Because right now, the Broncos' offensive line stinks. The Patriots just to be the Patriots. They're most likely to be facing the Patriots in the AFC Championship game if you can just keep winning these games. Because remember, the Chiefs started off 1-5 last year, but managed to win 11 in a row. So anything is possible in Kansas City. Especially when this is going to be in cheap territory with the old tomahawk chops. I'm going to pick the Chiefs to win this one. It's probably going to be not a double-digit game. I'll say that right now. It won't be double digits. But it could be double digits if Drew Brees is too afraid to throw the football to Marcus Peters and Eric Berry. Although, trends this year, it's saying that he's not afraid, as I believe he is second in the NFL in passing yards. All right, Colts versus Titans. I honestly think the Colts are going to win this game. I mean, there's not really a major key to it. I just think the Colts are just going to flat out beat the Titans. I mean, the Titans got a great running game going with Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray. But that's almost about it. I mean, Marcus Mariota has some targets there. But I just think Andrew Luck is going to really step up in this division rivalry game. Especially being heartbroken after blowing that huge lead on Saturday night against the Texans. I like the Colts to come out really angry in this one. And I like them to beat up on the Titans. Alright, here's the big one of the week. Several people are hyped about this, including the Master Deezy. The Minnesota Vikings versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I'm not being instructed to pick the Eagles to win this game. I like this game to be really highly defensive. If the Vikings want to win this game, their offense, led by Sam Bradford, has to really rise to the occasion. And you know Sam Bradford really wants to rise to the occasion against his old team. Or at least one of his old teams. And plus, the Eagles' offense needs to give their defense support. That's something that didn't really happen last week. Carson Wentz really needs to find those receivers. And they got to get it going with Ryan Matthews in order to win this game. And I think the Eagles will do that. I think the Eagles will win this game and hand the Minnesota Vikings their first loss of the season. All right, Browns versus Bengals. Not really much to talk about. The Browns are the Browns. Bengals are going to finally win this game. In fact, the Bengals, it's a must-win for the Bengals. Because the Bengals are looking depleted right now, and they're lucky to get the Browns this week. It's just a depleted team right now. Humiliating loss against New England, humiliating loss against Dallas, humiliating loss against Denver. Just 3 humiliating losses already this season. And plus the Steelers, well, that's 4 humiliating losses. They're 2-4. The Bengals are going to finally win this week against the Browns. Redskins versus Lions. Now the Redskins, they need to keep playing with urgency. They're on a 4-game winning streak now after starting 0-2. Kirk Cousins, got to look for Jamison Crowder, Deshaun Jackson. Even hand it off to Matt Jones. And Matthew Stafford, if the Lions want to have a chance in this one, Matthew Stafford can't be afraid to throw it to Josh Norman. Because basically your best receiver right now is Marvin Jones. And he only had 10 receiving yards last week, but he did have a touchdown though. However, I think that the Redskins are still going to win this game. I just think it's going to be behind those weapons on offense. Deshaun Jackson and Jamison Crowder. It's going to be behind those two to win the game. As we don't know if Jordan Reed is going to play yet. But I still like the Redskins to pick up this W. Right, Raiders versus Jaguars. Now this is a matchup of two teams that many thought could actually sneak their way into the playoffs this year. The Jaguars, we don't know if they can do that. In fact, the Jaguars haven't had the promising season that we were all anticipating. And the Raiders are trying to come off a humiliating loss against Kansas City. What both teams need to do is both these quarterbacks need to throw it to their star wide receivers. Derek Carr's got to try to find Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree, which he's done a really good job of doing the last couple of weeks. And and Blake Bortles needs to find Allen Robinson and Allen Hurts. You got to find Allen squared. I'm going to pick the Raiders in this game because I just think the Raiders defense will rise to the occasion at the end. There's just something about that Raiders team that they got something brewing this year. I think they can get this done. And plus, I like Derek Carr to find his star receivers better than Blake Bortles. So those are two reasons why I'm picking the Raiders to win this game. Right, Bills versus Dolphins. And the Bills are also one of those teams that are on a unexpected winning streak. And the Dolphins, they're coming off a huge win against the Steelers, even though Big Ben was out most of the game. Jay Ajayi is coming off a 204 rushing yard type of game. However, the Bills are really great at stopping the run. And plus, LaShawn McCoy is also coming off a good game as well. This is a battle of two running backs coming off big games, not even in real life, but in fantasy. I like the Bills to win this one because I just think that LaShawn McCoy is going to outshine Jay Ajayi this week. So I think LaShawn McCoy is going to be a huge difference in this game. Ravens versus Jets. Now, the Ravens are one of the most surprising teams this year, at least in my opinion, because I was raving on about how they were going to be the worst team in the league and they should just tank for one of the quarterbacks, because Joe Flacco's not that elite of a quarterback. And plus, they were having troubles in the running game and just all over the place. But the defense is rising to the occasion right now. In fact, they're third in total defense. And the Jets, Ryan Fitzpatrick has thrown 10 interceptions in the last throughout this season, including 8 in 2 games. So I'm going to pick the Ravens to win this one. I just think the Jets are going to continue to have struggles. I mean, the Jets they look so promising after only losing to the Bengals by 1 point in week 1. Things just look so promising. Things are going to change. They re-signed Fitzpatrick. But it's just gone from bad to worse. It's gone really sour. And I think it's going to continue going sour. So I'm going to pick the Ravens to win this one big. All right, Buccaneers versus 49ers. Now this is basically a matchup that it's not really worth seeing because the 49ers season is just basically just a lost cause right now. I mean, they weren't winning with Blaine Gabbert. They didn't win with Colin Kaepernick last week. They need to get, I haven't said this for weeks, but they got to get Jeff Driscoll on the field. I mean, they drafted in the 6th round. You know who was also drafted in the 6th round? Tom Brady. And it only took Tom Brady about less than a year to get his chance. They should just give Jeff Driscoll his chance early. Especially do it against this Buccaneers team. Especially when he has receivers to throw to, like Torrey Smith and Jeremy Curley. The Buccaneers secondary is really young too, and plus they would have a significant advantage against this Buccaneers secondary. So if I'm Chip Kelly, I'm just giving the keys to Jeff Driscoll this week. Because I don't see Colin Kaepernick doing anything. So I like the Buccaneers to win this one. It's going to be a really low-scoring game. This is going to be the joke of the week. I'm going to pick the Buccaneers to win 10-3. All right, Chargers versus Falcons. Now the Falcons are coming off a really heartbreaking and angry loss against Seattle last week. And I realize that this room is just getting darker by the minute. However, the Chargers are coming off a huge upset win last Thursday night against the Broncos. They've had about 3 days extra rest than Atlanta has. And plus, Atlanta's coming back from that time zone. But I still think the Falcons win this game. I just think Matt Ryan to Julio Jones, that's just too valuable of an asset to not pick against. And I've been doing that for like the last 4 weeks. That's just a huge asset. And plus, the running game of Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman, especially the Chargers, they still look weak even though that they had basically just upset the Broncos. So I'm going to pick the Falcons on this one. It's not going to be a huge one. I will be humble about it as I can. I'm going to pick the Falcons only win by 7 points. I'm going to say 31-24. Antonio Gates finally gets going. That's what the Chargers need to actually do. Sure, Hunter Henry's been doing good the last 3 weeks, but you got to get things back with Antonio Gates. They can use a 2 tight end system like the Colts are doing with Jack Doyle and Dwayne Allen. You can do that. But still, got to pick my Atlanta Falcons. That should have been a pass interference call on Richard Sherman, but it wasn't. They just got to get over it. Patriots versus the Steelers. There's not really a question in this game. Ben Roethlisberger's not going to play in this game. It's going to be Landry Jones. And I like that Patriots defense just eat up Landry Jones. In fact, the only thing that's going to save the Steelers this week is Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. And DeAngelo Williams. Those 3 have to save the team, and they just won't gel as well without Big Ben. So I like the Patriots to pick up a 17-point victory, even though it's in Heinz Field. Sure, a 17-point loss at home is unprecedented with Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. But they lost the Dolphins last week. Things are just going to get bad to worse for the Steelers, and it's starting right now. I even said back in preseason that if the Steelers stayed healthy, they could make it to the Super Bowl and possibly win the Super Bowl. But now they can't. Things are going to just get from bad to worse. So I'm going to pick the Patriots to win this one. Tom Brady's going to eat up the Steelers secondary. Another 400-yard and 4-touchdown pass type of game. Sunday night game, Seahawks versus Cardinals. Now this one's going to be really highly defensive as well. I'm excited for this matchup. I'm excited to see how this turns out. I like to be really defensive. Both these teams are just top 5 in total defense. It's going to come down to which offense rises to the occasion. And I just think Russell Wilson will make those plays when he needs it. I'm going to pick the Seahawks to win. I think they're going to actually have to come from behind in this one. I like Russell Wilson in a neck with Jimmy Graham. Less than 3 minutes left, and the Cardinals can't recover. So I'm going to pick the Seahawks to win a low-scoring game, 20-17. Pretty solid of a low-scoring game. All right, finally, the Monday night game, Texans versus Broncos. This is really interesting. Brock Osweiler on the Texans, and the Broncos could not re-sign him. They couldn't satisfy him enough, so he decided to just take off to the Texans. And Brandon Marshall basically said how excited he was, how fired up this defense was. Brandon Marshall just said they were going to go all out on Brock Osweiler. And I think that commitment is going to be what's going to be enough to win this game. I just think the Texans, we won't see review performance. The Broncos are not the Colts, obviously. I mean, the Texans are even lucky to have won last week. Charlie Marmillo got 29 fantasy points last week, but that's not going to be enough. You're not really going to see that kind of performance against these Broncos defense. At least these are Broncos defensive players. So I'm going to pick the Broncos to win this one. I don't think it's going to be an ugly game, but I just think it's going to be madness. Those Broncos, they're going to eat up Brock Osweiler. Let's face it, the Texans just have a horrible offensive line. But however, so do the Broncos. I think it's going to come down to which defensive front can get to the quarterback. And I think it's going to be the Broncos, obviously. So I'm going to pick the Broncos to win this one. That is going to do it for your Week 7 NFL predictions. If you are keeping score at home, I have the Packers, Giants, Chiefs, Colts, Eagles, Bengals, Redskins, Raiders, Bills, Ravens, Buccaneers, Falcons, Patriots, Seahawks, and Broncos all winning this week. I'm going to try to bounce back. I haven't done the best. I can do better. Hopefully, I can have a good week this week. So like and subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends, family, whoever. Also share us on social media, the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Instagrams, the whatever. I'll even go as far as saying just share it on Tinder. Anyway, that's going to do it. Follow my Sports account as well, at JB Talk Sports. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you next time.